because the last time there were a few people, but then it grew later on. So I regretted not recording it, but it grew later on. Okay, so the theme of the day is freedom in all its nuances, in all its connotations, and then feel free to experiment with its various colors of what freedom can mean. And Julian, we chose freedom because 15th August is our Freedom Day. I think Malaysia is also around the corner, isn't it?
Yeah, 31st
August. 31st August, yeah. So I think the Brits got it hard in August. But I think yours is much later. We got independent in 47. I think yours was in 50s,
57.
57, 10 years later. Okay, so one of the so I just want to kickstart it by reciting a poem, and then I'll hand it over to whoever wants to. And the reason I want to kickstart it with the poem, of course, any poem you want is welcome. We need not be on the theme, which has always been our take. We are a group of poetry lovers, not necessarily poets. But we always welcome any poem on or off the theme. So the reason I'm going to do it is from the Urdu poetry of Faraz Ahmad Faraz. And he's a very famous Urdu poet. Translation by Kuldeep Salil. And the reason I picked this up is because my daughter was visiting Khan Market, or rather, loitering out there, and she managed to go into a bookshop called Fakir Chand and Sons Bookshop, which is Delhi's oldest bookshop, established 1951. And this is an institution on its own, Fakir Chand and Sons. And she picked up a poetry book. And I was surprised, because she does a little bit of poetry, dabbles in it, but she doesn't do a lot of poetry. Who's this? Azhar. Good Lord. Azhar is here. Or is it the ghost of Azhar? Azhar is also from Malaysia. And his is one of the most interesting poems you'll ever read, you'll ever hear. He is still connecting to the audio. Give him a second, give me a second, and then. Yeah, so actually Indira from US also said she would probably join. Sheena also said. Let me, Julian, you want to ping Sheena? And say we have started, kind of thing. Sheena's poetry is also really interesting poem. Anyway, so she picked up, my daughter picked up this book, Best of Faraz, and I want to read a poem from here, and it's a very famous poem. We'll have to translate that for you, and it's a short poem. It's a ghazal. So I don't know if you realize that there are Spanish ghazals too, because the Arab world spread that format around the world. And this one goes, Ranjish hi sahi, dil hi dukhane ke liye aa. And for people from India will know this very famous ghazal. Ranjish hi sahi, dil hi dukhane ke liye aa fir se mujhe chhod जाने के लिए आ कुछ तो मेरे पिंदारे मोहब्बत का भरम रख कुछ तो मेरे पिंदारे मोहब्बत का भरम रख प्रेम से संभावना love a poem sympathy for my love तू भी तो कभी मुझको मनाने के लिए आ पहले से मरासिम ना सही पहले से संबंध ना सही फिर भी कभी तो रस्म ए रहा ए दुनिया ही निभाने के लिए रस्म ही निभाने के लिए किस किस को बताए जुदाई का सबब हम तू मुझसे खफा है तो जमाने के लिए एक उम्र से हूँ लिज्जत गरिया क्राइम एक उम्र से हूँ लिज्जत गरिया से भी महरूम, ए राहत जां मुझको रुलाने के लिए आ। अब तक दिल है खुशफम, तो तुझसे है उम्मीदें, ये आखिरी शमे भी बुझाने के लिए आ। बढ़िया साहब, नमस्कार। Hey,
Hello.
hello, Bhatia Saab is out here, and good you could join us. Bhatia ji, I was just reciting a Faraz poem, and you would know this. Ranjishi Zahi Dil Hi Dukhane Ke Liye Aa. Very famous poem. And let me do an English translation for it, and then I will introduce you to the players. Azar is still connecting to the. You may be angry with me, but to hurt me, if nothing else, do come. Do come to leave me when you want to. Let me at least take some pride in my love. Let you too sometime come to bring me around. Okay, the English translation is horrible. Our relations may not be what they were, yet you should come for formality's sake and show the world that the relations were like before. It is extremely difficult to explain the cause of our separation to all. Come for the sake of the world, even if you are angry with me. For a long time now, I have not had the luxury of weeping. Come and make me cry, oh my comforter, if else for nothing. I still have the illusion, I still have some hope from you. Come and blow out this last flame, this last candle. Amen. So,
is this the translation of that Urdu nazm?
Yeah.
हाँ फिर से मुझे छोड़ के जाने के लिए आ.
हाँ फिर से रंजिशी जही दिली दुखाने के लिए आ.
हाँ.
So that's right, and we usually do an English translation for our international audience. Julian is from Malaysia, and we have a new Azhar is from Malaysia, but Azhar is taking time to join. Jasbir, so you know Bhatia ji. And
yes.
we have a new joiner, Neeraj. Neeraj is my college mate, and I've convinced him to. Well, by the way, Neeraj is also from IIT Delhi. So Bhatia Saab is also from IIT Delhi, but 10 years senior.
Nice to meet you.
You are from which batch?
I am same as Rajiv, so we all passed
85.
85. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me hand over the mic to somebody who is willing to pick it up. And Bhatia sir, I believe you were in a hurry. So
no, I'm not in a hurry. That dinner where we have to go, I thought it was at 7, but it is actually at 8 o'clock.
Okay. So we got time. Yeah, but still, okay. Anybody else? Jasbir, you wanna start something with your poetry?
Yeah, I'll see.
Yeah.
Freedom. Free as a bird was I when younger in years. The world was out there, and I was free to explore the profession I fancied, the life I planned to live. As I grew old, I realized I didn't have the wherewithal. The choices shrunk. I wanted to be a doctor, an IS, a fighter bomb pilot, or in that order. I simply didn't have the intelligence. Suddenly, I felt my freedom curbed by my own limitations. Shackled on all sides, I held on to a new philosophy. If life goes on the way you planned, that's good. And if it doesn't, then even better. You know, that's like Angur Ghatne types. With a new born freedom in my mind, I'll live, never mind. Thank you.
Ah, very nice. Very nice. Good. Jasbir, as usual, Jasbir is famous for writing a poem just in time. She can rattle off an original poem.
No, I'm not. Don't tell like that. I mean, today it was like that because I just came and wrote while I was writing. I burnt my dal.
These are called natural writers.
Oh yes, she's a natural writer.
Yeah.
Any topic she can just.
I am not. I am not.
Yeah,
Unless I may not write for months, but then someday I get an inspiration and I write something. Otherwise, given something, I can't write.
Okay, Azhar is connected. Azhar, unmute yourself and say hello. I don't know. He has got a poor connection. Hi, Azhar. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, great to see you, Azhar.
So
Azhar
nice.
is also from Malaysia, and he's one of the founding members of the Poetry Club. He has been on and off in Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur when we started the first club. Azhar was even then an integral member of it. So welcome, Azhar, and we look forward to some of your performance. I rarely call Azhar reciting a poem. He does give a wonderful performance. Okay, while you think about it, can I ask Julian to start chipping in? Julian, you got something interesting for us today? Julian, by the way, is an immensely busy poet. So I see his contribution all over the place, and do check out his Facebook. Do connect with him if you're fond of poetry.
Okay.
Julian, over to you.
Hi. I have to give a little preamble for this. So it's called Benderaku, which translates into English as my flag. The other two Malay words in there is Negaraku, which is the Malaysian national anthem. And the third Malay word is Keris, which is a traditional double-edged dagger in Southeast Asia, often now. It's wielded symbolically for ceremonial purposes. So the Malaysian flag has 4 colors, blue, red, white, and yellow. So this is called Benderaku. I wave my flag in tawny poem because I'm too embarrassed to show you off in tatters. Stripped of your stripes, your crescent eclipse, your pointy star blunted. My words are meant to prick, but they are not daggers nor kris. It's not good for my constitution to keep them inside. It's also bad for my heart. But if you look closely, you can see the patriotism in the whites of my eye. You can feel the nationalism when they are bloodshot red. You can hear the anthem of my soul crying out when I am blue. You can sense the pride when I march in unison with my fellow yellow. We link arms and sing the Negaraku because, hey, it's our country too. My poems are my battle cry for you. My rhymes are there to straighten their crooked line. My alliterations are a raucous rallying rap to get us back on track. My puns are the stitching of your sides. My consonants are the higher thread count of your fabric. The higher ground we tread to discount their dread. My imagery yearns to return your colors that have run insane. My metaphors are my longing to unfurl you in the sun again. My Malaysia is a million valiant, vigorous voices wanting to raise a nation's flagging, fading fervor. Don't need to stand at attention to appreciate it. Just pay attention because it's freely given. And if they still can't take the brave words of us poetic souls, then they can just hang us from the nearest pole. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Flag is very important for us today also. We can see it all over.
Yeah, that's right. There is a story behind that one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
We would rather not discuss it.
Yes, let's take it offline. As you can see, Indians are patriotic, but they draw a line somewhere, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's more of nationalism rather than patriotism.
Yeah, patriotism. Okay. Thank you, Julian. That was a wonderful poem. And
Yeah.
we'll come back to you.
I would like to read Julian's poem once again so that I can absorb the words in more detail. So I request him to post this poem on the group.
Yeah. Julian sent it to me. Julian is not a member of WhatsApp group, although he comes in every meetup. But I'm happy to post the poem. And Julian, later on, if you decide to join us on our WhatsApp group, which is sometimes busy, sometimes not so busy, but that I leave to you. You know, you're busy so in so many places. I don't want to be an additional burden on that. We don't want to.
Yeah, I'll just put it in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat. I think that'll be great. Absolutely. Okay, Ritika is connecting, and she's one of our usual suspects. With that, Bhatia ji. Okay, Bhatia ji is like the G is like son, you know, in the Japanese thing. So we tend to. I think you have a similar thing in Bahasa, something to show respect at the end of the name. I'm not sure, but I always used to be called San, Rajiv San out there by lots of people. I think it was lack of my hair, but hey.
I haven't written anything for this gathering.
That's all right. Yeah.
And I haven't even selected which one I'm going to narrate. But today we were talking about Mr. Danish Iqbal.
You're
He's
right.
a great playwright, director, and an anchor. This is about a tragedy that happened with him. His son died in the month of February 2022. And since then, he has been incommunicado. And I was missing him, and I searched for his Facebook page. And the last message that he has written is in February, which talks about his son's death. And after that, he's been missing. So since I had forgotten about it, I was feeling guilty. So I wrote a small poem for that. The poem is in Hindi. So maybe I can simultaneously translate or maybe translate subsequently.
Bhatia ji, what we have found out is that giving the essence of the poem after you read out in Hindi is a better idea.
It's a better idea.
Rather than do a word for word.
तो पोएम कुछ ऐसी है, मुनासिब नहीं कि वक्त ठहर जाए, मुनासिब नहीं कि वक्त ठहर जाए, हो सकता है कुछ लम्हे कुछ लम्हों तक ठिठक जाएं। मुनासिब नहीं कि वक्त ठहर जाए, हो सकता है कुछ लम्हे कुछ लम्हों तक ठिठक भी जाएं, हो सकता है कि शाम की चादर बर्फ हो जाए, हो सकता है कि शाम की चादर बर्फ हो जाए और पलकों पर ठहर जाए और अंधेरा पिघलने का नाम न ले। लेकिन बेशक उम्र की सड़क पर बर्फ पिघलती है, कितनी भी स्याह क्यों ना हो रात ढलती है। लेकिन बेशक उम्र की सड़क पर बर्फ पिघलती है, कितनी भी स्याह क्यों ना हो रात ढलती है, सुबह की लालिमा अपनी ऊष्मा लिए उस पार इंतजार कर रही है। That's it. Thank you. In this poem, I have essentially said that the time doesn't stop, but some moments may look longer than others, and they may, take some more time to go. But ultimately, the night ends and a good morning comes. That's it. Thank you.
Very nice. Excellent.
Thank you, Aryaji. That was lovely. Hang around for some more time if you can. We'll
Yeah. I am very much here.
So typically for new folks, we typically go around the table or around the screen and give everybody a chance to recite their favorite poem, either their own or somebody else's. And if somebody wants to listen in, that's fine too. And with that, let me welcome Gunika and Ritika. Hello, girls. How are you?
Hello.
And Gunika, Ritika, you will find some new faces, some old faces. Azhar is out here after a long time. We'll be happy to have him. And then we have two new faces, Neeraj and Bhatia ji is a new face, but an old hand on our WhatsApp group. So we have finally, you're on mute. Gunika, we can't hear you. Are you on mute? No, you're not on mute. I think your audio is all. You are.
Hi, glad to have to join this time. I mean, I'm not sure whether I'll recite something or not, but definitely hear some good stuff today.
Yes, Ritika, and we hope to hear something from you too. And welcome. So, Ritika, Gunika, Jasbir, Julian are our usual suspects. There are a few more usual people who do turn up anyway. But it's wonderful to have them again around. And Bhatia ji had a wonderful poem to say on his friends or other famous playwright's sons passing away. With that, can I hand over the mic to you, Azhar, and see if you got a nice rap for us? Although I think the word freedom would have tickled Azhar's creative juices on various ways in which we are not free. He's the guy who has been after the governments to give them that income. What's it called? Basic income. Everybody should get a basic income. So Azhar is a big supporter of that idea. Azhar, you're on mute. You wanna unmute and take it away?
I don't know. This is a risque poem. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, God, Lord. I'm just gonna read because I never remember what I write anyway.
Yeah, sure.
Tempting is her plunging coastline, tantalizing, them titi wangsa, alluring still her tyranny anthem, lifting her samung batik, cinching it with her fivefold oath, dancing under the wow-covered moon, flickering fireflies, squeezing between her wet mangroves, sinking into her dark caverns, sliding into the bosom of Widow's Mountain, lilting monsoon rain kisses, entrancing fools with her equine puppetry, captivating all with her minstrel seance, beguiling soul with her silver alchemy, flaunting her oriental pearls, enticing taukes, marooning yogis, turning down foreign suitors, easygoing bachelors announcing her independence, wearing her red stripes, battling with her white past, surrendering to the blue vastness, gazing at the yellow crescent recover, staking her claim, building parallel towers, abandoning racetracks, burning causeways, silencing my protests, stroking my passions, introducing sodomy, engorging my rights, edging me, stopping at nothing, whispering, she's not done yet, making me beg, screaming to call her home. The end.
Oh yes, I could smell the burnt rubber. Yeah. Azhar, you want to post this on the chat group? Because I think the audio went a little hazy.
Yes, I as it is, I am a little hard of hearing, so I couldn't really follow it.
Yeah. You wanna, if you can post it, Azhar, I think we'll appreciate it a little better after we read it, because there's a certain a wave to it, which you may miss if you're not listening very carefully. So I just want to make sure that we do that. Thanks, Azhar. Thanks a lot. We'll come back to you for some more rap. So dig out one. Okay, let's move on. Gunika, you got something exciting?
Yeah, just give me a minute. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Just a minute. I'll just switch on my camera. Just give me a second.
Yeah. While you are at it, I want to ask Neeraj. Neeraj, do you have a poem today?
No, thank you.
About
I am just listening and observing people. So
yeah, sure.
Nice to be there, apart listening to all you guys.
Oh yeah, it's always lovely to be out here. Gunika.
Yeah. So I wrote this, in fact, yesterday, and basically this poem tells us that if you want to be free, you got to free somebody too. It can be in your thoughts, in reality, in your mind, whatever. So here goes. I want to be free from the chains of a million thoughts that bind me, when the mind will be still and the soul will be free, when the breath will be deep and the body will be at ease. I want to be free in a space where I can lie with an empty mind. No thought filters in through the memories of my closed eyes. I want that freedom, where I shall not be tied to unpleasant reminiscences of the past, where I shall not brood into the future, where I shall be the present. I want that freedom, the freedom to be one with myself, courage in my heart and strength in my soul, where I can hear the mellifluous chords of happiness, a freedom so ineffable, where I can draw strength from the epochs of my youth, a freedom to float in the iridescent bubble of life, oblivious to the chatter of the world, where my hands will equiver with gratitude with the new dawn, where I will be who I am. And that freedom I give to myself today, and thus I set you free forever. Thank you.
Yes.
Very nice.
That is quintessentially Gunika. Lovely, Gunika. Lovely to have you with these poems. Yeah. It's almost sounded like a Rabindranath Tagore poem, you know?
Exactly. It started off like that, yes.
Yeah,
where the mind is free.
Yeah, but then
the twist in the end.
Yeah, yes, that's right. I mean, I think that's the thing about poetry is one has to pay attention, and one can say the most important of things in as short a sentence as possible. So that's usually exciting. Ritika, you are do something today? You got something for us today?
Okay, so I'll share a short poem which I had written some time back. So it's basically not exactly about freedom, but freedom in some other sense in which you could relate it to somewhat like the kind of evils in the society, and maybe, sometimes when we have tried too hard to get free from them and then we just give it up, and when we get a chance to actually get free from those, we have already given up and we don't even try enough. So it's somewhat related to that. So I'll just recite it. 1 second. Yeah, okay. So it goes like this. It's in Hindi. एक था परिंदा उड़ने को बेकरार, पर कैद की बहुत मजबूत थी दीवार। पंख खोलकर उड़ने की कोशिश वो रोज करता, फिर थक कर हार जाता, कभी 2 आंसू भी बहाता, बस अपनी आजादी को ही तरसता रहता। रोज की कोशिशें होने लगी जब बेकार, उसने भी छोड़ दी आजादी की पुकार। फिर एक दिन एक नन्हा बच्चा आया, उसने खोल दिया पिंजरे का दरवाजा, पर परिंदा समझ ही नहीं पाया, उसे आजादी का मिला था सुनहरा मौका, फिर क्यों वह उड़ ही नहीं पाया। शायद कैद होना आ गया था उसे रास, उसने खो ही दी थी हमेशा के लिए उड़ने की आस।
Very interesting thought. Very interesting thought, Ritika. That's true. Freedom also needs to be taken. And thanks, Ritika. And with that, let me welcome Indira. Indira, it's supposed to be very early for you in Chicago. You're on mute, Indira.
Gunika is also here now.
Yeah, Gunika is here, yes. Who? Gunika, Ritika, Indira, say something. Test, audio test, 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, guys, I overslept, and it's about 9:13 here this morning.
Yeah, quite
but
early.
I couldn't resist being here.
So. Oh, yes. You're always welcome. Always welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. We have gone around the corner, around the table once, and I like to my chance, and then we go around again okay, I'm going to read a poem from this book. It's G. Thiel's The Penguin Book of Indian Poets. And then it's got the last 50 years of poetry by Indian poems out here, by Indian poets out here. And it's in English. So there's been some translation work also, which has happened. And it's you can't do this in one sitting. You have to read this and digest this, and then so I like to repeat a poem because I don't think we have got the people we had last time. But I'd like to repeat a poem I did last time, 221, and it's by one of the youngest poets in this collection, Mona Zote. Mona Zote was born in Patna in 1973, and having spent my formative years outside Mizoram, she's a Mizo, it was a bit of a mental dissonance to come to a place where a lot of things feel upside down, she writes. Not to mention how at odds with the culture whose deepest bonds with community are inextricable from the church with which I have nothing in common. I am grateful and also perhaps a little furious at all times. Part of me will keep on being an observer, outside forever looking in, and being a Mizo also gives me an in-the-bone understanding of what moves my people. I write about this. Mona lives in Aizawl, and she works at the state tax department. So, hey, that's what really got me. A tax inspector is a poet. And some of the lovely poem she has written is one of the poems I really loved was called Boat Building. And you got listen to it carefully, because boat building is obviously there's a message hiding in that. So let me read it out again. Let me read it out slowly and see if you can get it. Boat building. The question of being drowned or afloat does not really matter. These days you can hear it, how everyone is building boats. How you can walk down the cramped streets and hear above the everyday the sound of someone deploying a hammer steadily as she goes, a sound soaring clear above all else. I think he's building a boat. He needs to go away. He wants to make sure everyone is safe because the water is rising. Maybe he needs to bring something back home, things we need, things he thinks we need. Maybe it's a shipment of warm sweatshirts. Maybe it's a good politician or two. Maybe it's all this gold everybody's so wild about. Maybe it's oranges from those other hills. And sometimes above the laughter of this man, you see a startled cloud of birds bursting out from the sloppy nests in a brief blind whirl of instinct, ringing the air on the house that alarmed them, forgetting soon in their own way what they were afraid of. Just seconds ago, what they were afraid of, because they're so easily distracted. So today or yesterday, I went shopping. I noted many things. First, how the shopkeepers look up with eyes that think they know you better than the last arms that held you. I'm going to repeat that. First, how the shopkeepers look up with eyes that think they know you better than the last arms that held you. Second, how there were so many girls walking from shop to shop, stopping in the doorways with vague powdered faces. And third, how taking a dress out into the sunlight changes its color and tone. Often it becomes friendlier. You have to read between the lines out here. Sometimes when I hold your hand, I think, how can you guide the tiller anymore? It feels small and not completely there. The skin thin as onion peel. I remember your hand as being strong and healthy, mother, holding my hand with the assurance. Until I remember, as I know nothing about boats, I cannot give the boat builder advice. I can only ask him questions about the wind speed, the drowsiness of being mid-ocean, the snapping of sails, the urgency of sighting land when your barrels have run dry. He frowns at the horses and the houses careening on the concrete stilts and says something about clouds. How you can't trust them even if you love them. At least they are consistently clouds. I ask about the provisions and if hardtack can make salt water taste better. Here where the houses like to live dangerously, someone is building a boat for a river, someone is building a boat for the sea. I look, but I can see only many blue hills. Gold is spilling down the streets. The women are beautiful and the men are strong. I'm sure the children will be angelic singers. Boat building is a child's endeavor. I was so taken away by boat building has got so many connotations around it, and then the whole poem, you actually have to read it a couple of times before you figure out what is it the poet wants to say to you. So, hey, Sheena. Hey, so it's great to welcome Sheena too. Sheena, there's some old faces and there's some new ones. So Sheena is also from Malaysia. And the new face, Sheena, you of course, you know Azhar. Julian was here a moment ago. I don't know where he's gone.
Right.
Ritika and Gunika,
Yes.
you would know. Yeah.
Yes.
Just we two. Indira is joining us from Chicago, US. she has come. And AKB is Bhatia Saab, whose camera is way up. Bhatia Saab, Bhatia Saab is an active participant in our WhatsApp group, but he has finally decided to join us for an evening of poetry. So that's lovely. And Neeraj is joining us as an observer out here.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, Neeraj is my college mate, so I managed to con him into joining us today.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to listening to all you guys.
Yeah. So that was a poem by one of India's youngest poet, who Sheena, just to tell you, this is the collection by Jeet Thayal of the Penguin Book of Indian poets. Yeah. So
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it is brilliant, and you have to wade your way through this. You can't finish it, like this.
No, it is said that never read a poem in a hurry.
Yeah, you're right.
One must absorb it. One must read probably twice, thrice before you can really appreciate the connotations, as you said, and the meaning in the blank spaces between the words.
Actually, you're right. Some poems can say a lot using just the white space.
Exactly.
So, that's important too.
What is unsaid is probably more important.
That's true.
That's right.
Okay, with that, moving on. Indira, you have something exciting for us, or you're just going to listen to it? Okay, all right, that's fine. We welcome.
I'll say something though. It's in the making, and that's the reason why I couldn't wake up earlier, because at 3:47, I actually wrote the time I woke up this morning, and I wrote something just came out, and I was writing it down, and so I'm going to read just 2 parts of it, because the rest of it is in the making. Even this is still like very, very raw. It's like 3:47 and it's 9:15 now. So 9:23 now. So please forgive me and please help me to put it together, because right now it's like fragmented, totally fragmented, but it's just a thought. So azadi and freedom are 2, again, very important words, meaning the same thing. लेकिन दोनों का मीनिंग एक ही है, लेकिन आजादी को अलग तरह से यूज करते हैं हम, और फ्रीडम शब्द को हम there's so many connotations, again, as Rajiv said. शब्दों में इतना मीनिंग होता है, इतना डेप्थ होता है कि उसको हम किस तरह से इंटरप्रेट करते हैं, that becomes very, very important. So it was part of my interpretation. And as Sheena, last time I remember, and I think there was somebody else when I was here, we were saying that जो बाहर रहते हैं, वो अपनी वो कुछ अजीब सा ही connection हमारा और हमारा link होता है. And we tend not to ignore the things that the other people, whoever we are, whatever country we are in, we tend to ignore, or not just ignore, just to bypass कि हाँ ये तो है. Like जैसे मैं कुतुब मीनार के आगे से या मैं लाल किला के आगे से रोज गुजरती थी कॉलेज जाने के लिए, लेकिन it didn't mean that much to me कि ठीक है लाल किला है, right? But जब मैं बाहर से जाती हूँ और लाल किला को देखती हूँ तो मेरे को बड़ी प्राइड फील होती है, बड़ा अच्छा सा लगता है. सो आजादी और फ्रीडम के लिए 2 छोटी थोड़ी सी लाइनें हैं. प्लीज हेल्प मी लेटर टू पुट देम टुगेदर. एंड अगेन दिस इज एट 3:47. सो आई राइट, रात के अंधेरे में घेर लिया मुझे कुछ सवालों ने. रात के अंधेरे में घेर लिया मुझे कुछ सवालों ने. रियली मिल गई क्या आजादी हमें रियल मायनों में? रात के अंधेरे में घेर लिया मुझे कुछ सवालों ने. रियली मिल गई क्या आजादी हमें रियल मायनों में? 75 वर्ष बीत गए, फिर भी हम अंग्रेजी के गुलाम हैं. Please forgive me because मैं अंग्रेजी पढ़ाती हूँ. Okay, but मैं भी अंग्रेजी बोलती हूँ, मैं भी अंग्रेजी शब्दों का इस्तेमाल करती हूँ. But this is just a thought. 75 वर्ष बीत गए, फिर भी हम अंग्रेजी के गुलाम हैं. अपनी ही मातृभाषा हिंदी से हम परेशान हैं. मेरे घर में काम करने वाला मुझे गुड मॉर्निंग मैम कह के जगाता है. मेरे घर में काम करने वाला मुझे गुड मॉर्निंग मैम करके जगाता है. मैं राम राम कहती हूँ तो वो मुझी पे ठेका लगाता है. रात के अंधेरे में घेर लिया मुझे कुछ सवालों ने. रियली मिली क्या आजादी हमें रियल मायनों. The next one is हाँ, ईमानदारी से जीना मुश्किल है. ईमानदारी से जीना मुश्किल है. बेईमानी का बोलबाला है. जो भी काम कराने जाओ वही मांगों का ताला है. हम उसे एक्सेप्ट करते हैं. क्या ये नहीं सच्चाई है? हम उसे एक्सेप्ट करते हैं. क्या यही नहीं सच्चाई है? सोचो, मिल गई क्या आजादी हमें रियल मायने में? रात के अंधेरे में घेर लिया मुझे कुछ घनघोर काले सवालों ने. थैंक यू.
Very nice. Lovely.
I don't know. I have few other things, but I mean, this is the two things that I could put up. But
सवाल पूछना एक अच्छी बात है. जब हम सवाल पूछते हैं तभी हमें जवाबों की तलब होती है और वो जवाब हमारे लिए बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट होते हैं.
Yeah, Rajiv, you're muted.
Yeah.
In fact, thanks, Indira. In fact, there has been a similar poem which was recited by Chinmay. It's called Azadi in the real sense, freedom in the real sense. Are we free in the real sense? You know, and he had said that in his very lilting voice. I think Gunika or Ritika might remember that. Sahi Mane mein Azadi.
Yeah, I don't remember a few this thing, but yeah, when he narrates it, you know, it's got a different.
Oh yeah, Chinmay has got a wonderful voice too. Okay,
I will like to take your leave.
Yeah, sure.
It's almost 8 o'clock, so I have to get ready also. So it's very nice meeting all of you. Maybe next time I'll like to stay for longer.
Yeah, please do, and do join us next time too. Thank you, Ashok, for
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Mr. Bhatia.
Ashok,
the best thing that I liked about the poem was that being an English teacher, you have written in Hindi, and that's what I loved. Because even I do that a lot. Like, even I was an English teacher, but I enjoy writing in Hindi because I personally feel जो feeling Hindi में आती है ना, मतलब related to Azadi and all of that, वो somewhat English में मतलब that you don't get that kind of feel. So like writing in Hindi is really good.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, poetry is one of the most difficult things to translate because it's rooted in the culture and the soil of that place you are writing it. You know, so I remember when I read Pablo Neruda's poem in English, I was so impressed by it. But a few years later, I realized I must read his poem in the original. And when I actually learned Spanish to start reading his poem in Spanish, I realized what I was missing in English, even though the translation was pretty good. But you know, there is a difference between saying, you know, in English, the love of my soul, and saying it in Spanish. There is a difference out there.
Mi amor.
Oh yeah. Oh, por the alma. You know, and then there is the for the soul. Okay, with that, let us go around the table again. Sheena, you are next. You haven't had the chance to
Yes, I'm next, but I haven't written anything this week because I'm really, really in the middle of a huge project. But and I know this is not about independence, but I recently finished reading this absolutely beautiful book called The House in the Cerulean Sea. And I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's by a writer called T.J. Klune. And it's about a world where there are people who are different because they've got gifts or they've got abilities which are super normal, and they have to be registered, and they are put into homes. They're taken from their parents and they're put into homes to keep them safe or to keep everyone else safe. And it's a really beautiful book, and there's a poem in it which really struck me, and I'd like to read that if I can.
Yeah,
it's not very long. Yeah.
Yes.
I am but paper, brittle and thin. I am held up to the sun, and it shines through me. I get written on, and I can never be used again. These scratches are a history. They're a story. They tell things for others to read, but they only see the words and not what the words are written upon. I am but paper, and though there are many like me, none are exactly the same. I am parched parchment. I have lines. I have holes. Get me wet and I melt. Light me on fire and I burn. Take me in hardened hands and I crumple. I tear. I am but paper, brittle and thin.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, it's a lovely, lovely book. If you know, I got a bit fed up with it, but it's so rare nowadays. You come across a book where everyone is good, and this is one of those books. You know, it's so feel good. It's like, awesome. Yeah.
Good one.
Yes.
Good. Time to do seconds. Jasbir, anything you got up your sleeve or in your back pocket? I always say, you know, people start off a poetry club with I just want to listen in, and half an hour later they're pulling out a poem from the back pocket, which it sort of gives you. I mean, this whole thing about a competitive environment where you're just enjoying the poems, you know.
Yeah, you start opening up and getting, oh, I read this, I read that, I remember.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, given time, I like to read out a prose poem from Deborah Levy's book. Okay, Jasbir, you got something exciting for us? Anything?
Exciting? No, I mean, I love this poem by Rabindranath Tagore. I'll just read it out.
Go for it.
And I'm sure everybody knows it, where the mind is without fear.
Yes.
And the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where the tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father. Let my country awake. So this is something that we all learned as kids, and
Evergreen.
Yeah, evergreen, and yeah, true. I mean, it's even till date, nothing has changed. We are still we are tirelessly striving to reach perfection, and we've lost reason. And where's the freedom of holding our head held high, etc. I mean, it's really beautiful.
Lovely. Absolutely my favorite. One of my favorite poems is Veer. Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Excellent. Hey, Azhar, can you put on your camera, unmute yourself, and give us a rap poem. Half the time, Azhar falls asleep, you know,
looks like
in this poetry meetup. So we need to constantly keep him on his toes.
I don't have any other poems for now.
Okay. I mean, if
I'm
you
just
find
listening.
one, yeah, if you find one, raise your hand and we'll be happy to hear it.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. Ritika, you got something interesting for us?
No, actually not.
Okay.
No, yeah.
All right. So we'll Gunika, Aapka?
Yeah. So I had written this some time back, actually. This is about Bharat. It's not about anything else, just Bharat and the glorious Bharat, Hamara Bharat. So it is a tribute to Bharat on Independence Day. I have shared it in the group once. I'm sure you must have heard it. मैं भारत हूँ. उत्तर में हिमालय की गोद, दक्षिण में समुद्र विशाल, पूर्व में जंगल की आगोश, पश्चिम में रेगिस्तान घंघोर. मैं भारत हूँ. सांस्कृतिक विविधता मुझ में, धर्मों की मान्यताओं का प्रतीक, पर्वों की उम्दा जमीन में, दीपावली, क्रिसमस, बैसाखियां, ईद. मैं भारत हूँ. चार धामों से मैं हूँ घिरा, गंगा यमुना का मैं स्पर्श करूं. मुझसे जन्मे महापुरुष वीर, गांधी, नानक, बुद्ध, कबीर. मैं भारत हूँ. कुरुक्षेत्र की रणभूमि में, अयोध्या की हूँ शान, वीरों के रक्त से जो लाल हुआ, ऐसा देश महान. मैं भारत हूँ. वैज्ञानिक प्रकाश का तेज हूँ, विश्व को दी शून्य की पहचान, आयुर्वेद, ज्योतिष और योग का द्वार. मैं धरती हूँ वही कमाल. मैं भारत हूँ. तक्षशिला, नालंदा मेरे ज्ञान के धाम, पूरे संसार में इनका नाम. रमन, कलाम, आर्यभट्ट, टैगोर, मेरे इन पुत्रों ने किया उत्तम काम. मैं भारत हूँ. पृथ्वी, वायु, जल, अग्नि, मिट्टी. पृथ्वी, वायु, जल, अग्नि, मिट्टी, पांचों तत्वों का मेल अद्भुत. मेरी ताकत है देशवासी मेरे, साहित्य, कला और शिल्प से समृद्ध. मैं भारत. Thank you.
Lovely.
Quite essentially Gunika. As you can tell, Gunika is very capable in two languages. You know, she writes.
I have become one now after being in this group. You know, I've been reading up so many poets and all the shared poetry is inspiring me. So I had also started writing in both languages, and I'm pretty happy with it now.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Sheena, if you got anything else, else we'll start winding up
Okay, I've got one. This is a very old one. And I think it falls within the category of independence because about 4 or 5 years ago, so when I first met Julian, for the month of August, because our Independence Day is on the 31st, we had a prompt every single day. And we all wrote our poems and we put them up for an entire month. There are about 12 or 15 of us who I think about 23 of us who did this. And at the end of it, we had a poetry reading on National Day itself, on Merdeka Day itself, on the 31st, in the room where the Declaration of Independence was signed. So this is one of the poems that I wrote for that. So I think it kind of falls within the whole independence thing. The prompt for this one was beach holiday. Yeah. So here goes. On the beach of no seasons, casuarina trees shed evil hard cones, booby traps for tender souls, hip-hopping fiercely towards the sea, armed with inflated inner tubes, we conquer the fizzy brown green surf. We play till we burn, noses peeling, defiant with the looming clouds, pleading with the setting sun. I'm not tired, I don't want to go. 10 minutes more, please. Then descend into dreams, sandy bums, sticky car seats, sprawled on soft maternal laps on the long drive home, while Cliff Richard croons that everybody needs a summer holiday. Now we can afford to fly to places where the water is blue. We shelter in the shade saying, it's too hot to go down to the beach. In rainbow cocktails fringed with paper umbrellas, we drown our secret longing for sambal sandwiches flavored with salt spray and sand.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, freedom also sometimes needs to be appreciated and taken. You know? That's right.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Anybody else? For seconds, thirds, whatever. If not, yeah, raise your hand if you want to. And if not, then I will wind up with the final poem of the evening. And this again is from the same book. The poet is Siddharth Bose. And the poem is Almas Ali Khan, Khwajasari, died 1808. The best and the greatest man in Awadh. Awadh was a kingdom pre-independence, somewhere in the middle of India. So said Sleeman, who rarely praised an Indian. Wealthier than the king and yet a slave. Haryana boy, part of Queen's dowry, castrated convert. He learned the courtly arts, guarded treasures, rose to rule a realm. The whole country in his charge, a garden. Slaves have no heirs. Queens cannot trust their sons. The king awaits his death and Hastings plots it. Hastings was the Governor General of. Yet he remained the queen's faithful ally. Survived starvation, fetters, torture. 26 years later, 6 feet tall and stout, a venerable being upwards of 80. Death near, he took his papers to the mosque, there threw them in the tank. Records of loans to noblemen, to rulers and to artists. Forgave all debts, gave the poor to poets, leaving little for the king to seize. 20 years more, only the legend lingered. Among the Awadhi peasants, he called children, where stood temples, tanks, hospitals. His nephew, Raja Bagmal, built at Fafund a mosque that bears his name, and Shah Jafar's. There lived his friend, the sage, Mahant Sahajanand. Pity him not, whose wrongs a world away caused Burke to rage in pain and grief, whose death Insha the elegant, the witty mourned. Alas, alas, I mourn Almas, Almas, a diamond that cannot be cut. This apparently on some slave in Awadh. I know we know so much or so little about some of the smaller players in this big empire of which is called India, with the British playing games and Awadh and the Mughal Empire and everything. So that, and I thought that was a pretty nice way of remembering somebody who died in 1808. All right, last call, and if not, then let's call it an evening, and we hope to see you again end of the month. And I'm discussing with people how to do a hybrid one, in which we can have an in-person and a virtual one. Let's see how that one goes. Okay, with that, boys and girls,
thank you.
Catch you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So
Thank
nice.
you. Good to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Azhar. Nice to
Bye,
have you with
everybody.
us.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye all.